There.
Welcome to NUSA. And our session today is Lifestyles of the Well-Connected. Did everyone get a chance to join Mr. McKnight at breakfast? So then you heard him steal our entire show. You recall he said that well-connected people lead healthier lives, safer lives, longer lives, the environment's better, better food, right? And they live in lives where they're surrounded by people that care. So it doesn't get better than that. So he laid down a foundation for why it's important to live a life of connectivity. And so we're going to talk today about how to connect with folks. So, can you hit that for me? Is he sleeping? Oh. Is he mesmerized?
Well connected.
Yeah. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Stephen Box, and we're here today with the General Manager of the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment for the City of Los Angeles, Gracie Liu, the Empress of Empowerment. And she flew all night to get here in time for this workshop. And this is my lovely wife, Nancy. And this is our little boy, Sydney. And so, we're from Los Angeles. And I'm the Director of Outreach and Communications. Nancy's the web mistress. And Sydney's our inspiration and why we do what we do, eh? So we're here from Los Angeles, which is, it's a big city. It's 4 million people. It's 485 square miles. If you went for a walk on a street in LA, you could walk completely the distance around the world and never walk on the same street. You'd still have enough street left over to walk from LA to New York City. It's kind of a big place. So when we talk about connecting neighborhoods, it's a tough task, and it's not something we can always do walking door to door. So what we're going to present today is some elements of connectivity in the digital arena. But first we have to answer the burning question that probably keeps you up late at night. What do Aristotle and the Colonel have in common? Yeah? Anyone?
Beards.
What's that?
A beard.
Very good. Very good. They're both storytellers. Aristotle wrote a book thousands of years ago about the essential elements of a story, and not much has changed since then. The Colonel, if you know the story, well, he was retired. He owned a restaurant and a motel, and the interstate had just been moved, which meant his retirement plan had just fizzled. And now there was no traffic for his gas station, his restaurant, and his motel. In other words, he was just retired, didn't have any money, and much hope of an income. So he took one Social Security check and a great story, and he turned that into a success story because he captured the elements that Aristotle talked about thousands of years ago of a great story. And the elements are kind of simple. Every story has a plot. Every story has a theme. Every story has spectacle. Every story has great characters. Every story has dialogue. And every story has some sense of chorus. And so for Harlan Sanders, his story was about chicken. Nothing new there either. I'm sure Aristotle liked a decent fried chicken. But chickens have been around for a long time. Harlan Sanders didn't have much to work with, but he told a good story. He was a good old-fashioned country boy who told good stories. And so he went on the road. His character was him. You never saw him in overalls, you never saw him in a business suit, you always saw him in character. And he was the character. He came up with dialogue. Can you tell me something about Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Looking good.
See, the dialogue lingers to this day, and he didn't even make up the words, but he captured some dialogue. He made it his, and that was an essential part of the story. Spectacle came in a bucket, which was a cheap way to serve chicken. But he turned that into his spectacle. He turned the fact that he had nothing to work with except his outfit, his look, a bit of country dialogue, Sunday dinner 7 days a week, and his secret. What's the secret?
11.
Y'all know this, right? A simple story told by a guy who picked a theme, the convenience of Sunday dinner, 7 days a week, and he took it on the road, and he had nothing to work with except his ability to tell a story. And this he turned into a huge, huge success story, including the fact that he didn't cook much chicken. Who did the cooking? The guy's a franchise success story. So people cooked that chicken and told his story for him. Long after he's gone, they're still telling the story. And so we're going to talk about these elements and how you can apply them to your story and how you can connect with your community, with your government, with the people that you serve, with your partners. We're going to talk about the story you tell and how you can make sure you're laying down these elements in the digital arena. Because you can't always do... Harlan Sanders put 250,000 miles a year until he was 80. He traveled 250,000 miles a year. So if you feel like doing that kind of traveling, then you don't need the digital arena. But if you'd really like to connect without having to go on the road day in, day out, then we're going to cover some digital elements. And they're the same elements that were laid down thousands of years ago. They're the same elements that storytellers like Harlan Sanders use to tell their story with great success. And they're the elements that you can use in your community to connect with folks. So, are you tired? Okay, it's nap time in Los Angeles. So
your website, your theme and your plot is actually, by the way, why the Starfish? It's called the Starfish campaign. The 5 arms and the heart is the center. So the center is your website, which is the most important. If you have a website, or if you don't have a website, definitely have to get one. The social media is kind of that brings everybody into the website, because the website is the one that needs to be robust, changing, draw people there, and you can control the website. You can control the message on the website. So the theme and the plot, it's your website. It's your brand that needs to be repeated all across the other social media sites or every other website or every other platform. And it needs to be consistent, and you need to be able to connect on your website wherever, whatever page you need to connect to your partners, to your social media on your website. So with Empower LA, it's on the footer of every page. You can see the social networks that people can connect to, where to contact the department, how to sign up to the newsletter, watch the old, read old newsletters, search anything on the site. It's very important when you have a website that you don't just link to PDFs, don't link to Word documents, because Word documents can carry viruses, or they can also appear if somebody opens it with a different Word software, it will look different. People can change the content. So always link to a PDF, but a PDF should, if it's possible, should be also written out. So it should be on a blog post, because if you have a PDF, it's not searchable. If you link to a PDF on outside websites, again, you're not directing people to your website, you're just linking them to a document, and they won't be able to visit your website. It is very important, the more you link into your website, and the more you link out of your website, Google or any of the search engines will reward you by placing you higher in the search engines. So if somebody would type in something about your website that is not necessarily about your neighborhood council, but about a subject that was on the agenda or in the minutes that you have written out as a post, people will be able to find you and say, oh, I didn't know there is a neighborhood council, but they're talking about this subject, I should check them out, be it development, traffic, whatever it is, health issues. So you want to attract people to your website that don't know about neighborhood councils. If they already know about neighborhood councils, they already know your website. You want to reach out to people who don't know about you. And then all the partners are linked to Empower LA, where it can be for you, the homeowners associations, the renters associations, health partners, schools that are providing you with services, or the location that they're donating to you, where you have your meetings. So link outside of your website and link inside your website. The website you can really track, and you should be at your board meetings, at your monthly board meetings. If you have a webmaster, ask them to provide you with data. How are you doing, or how is your webmaster, or how is your neighborhood council doing in terms of traffic? Do people find you? How do they find you? Are there referrals? Be it newspapers, local news blogs, other social media sites. But you can tell who is referring you. Also, you can tell what search engine or what search term people are putting in to find your website. So if they're typing in only your neighborhood council name, they are already aware of you. But if they're putting in a developer's name and they're coming across your website, then you're good. Your website is doing good because your website has lots of content that people come and search and find. You can track daily, weekly, monthly, but make sure that you know how your website is doing. A lot of websites are there, they're very static, but they don't know, as a council, you don't know, are people visiting at all? They might not come to you, might have 5 visits a month. Then you need to kind of change your strategy. When you're on a website, if you have a WordPress website, Joomla website, oftentimes you can also assign committee members or members of the board who can edit. Make sure that all your comments are moderated, and so that you avoid spam and that you don't automatically approve. So you physically want to approve or disapprove comments. Not everything is a spam. Spam is if people want to sell something. But, you know, with a neighborhood council, you're a public entity. Some people might be just angry people and want to put angry comments. And even though you have an open door policy and people can comment and voice their opinions, but if it becomes personal against board members, you don't want to post them. So moderate every single comment and then approve them or just trash them. Don't mark them as spam if you know the person. They're not spammers, they're just opinionated, they're just passionate about something. So they just throw them into the trash. A little tip about when you're uploading documents, be it through your WordPress or Joomla website, or be it in your, just onto your server. Every document should be titled. Every document, before you upload them, title them to what it is. Search engines will reward you, because the document will be found. And then if you want to search your website because you want to insert the document in a post a couple of weeks later, you want to search the document and find it. Same with photos. Make sure that you title photos. Don't upload them as they come downloaded from your phone, because they usually come downloaded with a bunch of numbers. Make sure you title them first, then you upload them. It will be easy for you to do searches, and search engines will reward you. A little tip for your website: there is a plugin called, it's a broken links plugin. If you're linking to other articles, other websites from your neighborhood council website, make sure you have it's a broken links plugin that will alert you if that website changed that URL that the link forwarded to. Because oftentimes you will end up with dead links. People discontinue their Facebook page, or the PDF document is pulled down. We're trying to, with Empower LA, we're trying to pull as many PDFs off other people's website and just host it on ours, because the city of LA might be pulling them down or replace them, or something is wrong with the server. So we want to make sure that we host them and that doesn't disappear. We're also hosting documents in Google Docs. It's free, so just upload them into Google Docs and back them up. I work with several neighborhood councils, and I back up every minute and every agenda as a Google Doc, not just on the server, but also separately in case something happens with the server, the website, they don't renew the website, and it all disappears. We have it all backed up. Because the stakeholders pay for that information, or the stakeholders, well, it's taxpayers' money, so you want to make sure that, your archive is always accessible. Character. The character is now from the center of your Starfish. From the heart, you can branch out to the social medias. Facebook is kind of giving you the character of who you are, what you're doing, what your neighborhood council is all about. With the Facebook, you can bring in more attention to your neighborhood council by posting photos. When you post photos, make sure you tag people or let people know, please tag yourself. Because if you tag them with their name, then their friends will see it, it will appear on their wall, then they will tag their friends, so you will get out the word slowly about your neighborhood council with the social media linking. It's all linking and interconnected. On Facebook, you can also set up your, if you're in constant contact, you can set up your your email setup. So everywhere you want to, even on Facebook and the social media site, you want to link back to the website and as many social media sites as you can. So here we're linking to the constant contact. You can link to YouTube, and then also on the About page, we're linking back to the website. You always want to link back to the website. And you can see that the brand, the theme is always consistent. Like other pages. Page is preferred over groups because page anybody can join. Groups you have to request membership to join, and that is not very open and to the public. But if you're not in a group but in a page, even those who don't belong to the neighborhood, to Facebook for example, they are still able to view what is going on the page. So make sure that other partners, you like them if they have a pages. With the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council, every business, everything that is Silver Lake Neighborhood Council within the boundaries, if they have a Facebook page, we like them. To let them know that we exist, and then they like us back, and then they talk to us, and they link back to us. On Facebook, you can assign different board members as managers. You can assign them just as creators, moderators, advertisers, insight analysts. But these two, content creators and moderators, is important. If you have other board members, you might not want, or the webmaster, or whoever is the ultimate admin, you might not want everybody to have access to the admin panel because they might take down your website or the Facebook page. But you can give them access so they create content. The same with if you have a WordPress website, you give all your board members who want to write a post, you can give them limited access. They can be editors, and they can upload photos and write content, and it's assigned to their name, so you know who posted their content, and you don't have to give them the entire dashboard open. The dashboard should be open to 2 to 3 board members. It's better to have more than one person, because that one person, if you upset them or whatever, they might disappear with your website. And it happens in Los Angeles with some neighborhood councils. So you want to make sure that everything, your social media, everything is assigned to a board email address, not to an individual's email address, because when the board member is no longer on the board anymore, then they still own the website. And they, even if they wanted to give it back to you, they cannot, because their email address is connected to them. Same with the social media. So you want to make sure that you have a board email address, let's say it's a contact at or info, and then that forwards to several people on the board. So if somebody's changing the password, that you get a notification. So several people are getting notification. So you can save your website. Facebook, you can also track. This is the admin panel, or the managers panel that Facebook lets you track who are talking about it, how many people you're reaching. And it's not just the people who are your connection, direct connection, but if they're forwarding or sharing whatever your content is on Facebook, then it appears on their wall and they're sharing, so you're reaching much more than just the 100 people. Maybe if you have 100 people, you're reaching thousands more if those people are chatterboxes, and you want people who like to chat, share, all that stuff. And then here you can see photos, how many likes there are, videos, and then basic info. So always link to the website. Always make sure that your neighborhood council is visible and open, and people know when your meeting is, people know how to contact you. Even if your website is not updated for whatever reason, these are easy to update. There's oftentimes people are showing up at neighborhood council meetings and the meeting has moved and they have no idea where the next meeting is because they didn't have access to the website to change it, or they didn't have social media to change it. So it's very, very important to keep your public notified, because once you appear to a neighborhood council, once you are disappointed, you want to not go back. And you don't want to disappoint the loudest person. So you want to always, always keep your doors open to the public. A little tip on Facebook page: if you're posting on Facebook, you can put in the link, you know, how you're putting it into the status bar. This link, just highlight once the automatic generated message appears, take it out, hit post, and then you get a really nice, clean post on your website, as opposed to getting a bunch of gibberish on top plus this. Yes?
I have a question about that, because I've always been doing that. But then I noticed that some posts that I get on my cell phone versus what I look on the computer, if those aren't there, the links don't pop up sometimes. Is that something that you know about, or is that just a glitch?
That might be just a glitch. Facebook sometimes does have a glitch even when you put this in and here just gibberish appears and it just won't load. Then I have to close out the page and try it 5 minutes later to make sure that this appears. Once this appears, then I can delete it. But sometimes it's a gibberish, and sometimes the glitch stays for days, for just one post, and then other posts I can without any problems. Also, Facebook, by the way, is also connected to Twitter. So every time we're posting anything on Facebook, it automatically goes onto the Twitter post. So there is another social media that automatically populates and gets, hopefully, your constituents and your stakeholders interested on their cell phone about subjects. And the subjects are not always about you. 80% of the subject should be about others, and then 20% about you. If you only talk about you, people will find it very they will be disinterested, because they're just talking again about another meeting. Who cares about another meeting? Meetings are not very exciting. But what is going on in the neighborhood? Are there any news? You can do a Google alert for your neighborhood council or your neighborhood, or special subjects. There's a big development that is a hot topic. Do a Google alert, set up a Gmail account for you, a Google alert that you receive once a day, usually it's in the mornings, and it gives you everything in the entire world that has that subject line that you want to be alerted about. And then you scroll through it and find out what is relevant within your neighborhood, and then post it on Facebook, which you can also post on Twitter. So that way people will come to your Facebook page knowing, oh, you're talking about my neighborhood that interests me, that is really relevant to me. So I'm going to come to you instead of having to go to the LA Times and the East Sider and this newsletter and this blog to always scroll through them. They know that one page is always the local news, and they can trust it because it's coming every day. Dialogue. Dialogue is Twitter. And then email campaigns. Twitter is 140 characters. You can upload photos on Twitter. TwitPic, usually it is that you can connect to Twitter, twitpic.com. And whenever you upload a photo, it will, whatever you title the photo, it will appear as a post on Twitter. And people will start following you the more interesting stuff you're talking about. Again, not just about next meeting is, but we have that with the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council. We have the 80% news about the local whatever is going on, and then we pepper in the meetings, agendas, and people start being interested in it, and people show up at the board meeting, and people voice their opinions. Even if they don't show up, they're just coming in with emails, the locals that can show up, but I'm interested in, I'm against it, or I'm for it. So the more content you have on Twitter, by the way, there is some Twitter accounts that set up a Paper.ly. It's a news generator that generates everything that you're linking. If you're posting a link, it will generate as a news. So if I'm setting up Paper.ly, it's paper.li, all of my followers who post any links will be part of that newsletter. So it's a paper lead that they click on, and they get all my followers' links that they're interests that they're posted. So for example, with Empower LA or with Silver Lake Neighborhood Council, there is people who subscribe to this, so they retweet everything that we linked automatically. So, and then their headline says, top news by Empower LA and by Silver Lake Neighborhood Council, and people click on it, and then it opens a web page that has a bunch of, I guess, feeds of all your followers. So then you can scroll through them. But where every single day, Silver Lake is mentioned by this one person who just has thousands of followers. So oftentimes it's not how many followers you have, but how loud your followers are and how many followers they have. So you can see these are, make sure that if you have a Twitter account that you check, do people talk about you? Do they retweet you? So that you can retweet back or say thank you very much. As a neighborhood council, you might be limited of how much you can talk about what. If it's an agenda item, obviously you cannot discuss anything, but you don't have to. You can just say thank you, or please come to the meeting. If people are talking about something on Facebook, for example, they say, oh, this is just a piece of crap, I don't care about it, don't do that. And just you can comment on there and say, please come to our board meeting, or you can email us your opinion, we're welcoming it. Angry or positive people, you can always engage them with you being included. You cannot be part of the dialogue, but you can always invite them. Please come, please talk about, voice your opinion. There's 2 minutes that you can talk about it. We really welcome you. Welcome everybody. And then a little tip for Twitter, in your settings, there is a few items that you should not check. And I'm pointing this out because some neighborhood councils have protect my tweets, which means you cannot read their tweets unless you're approved to follow them. You don't want to check it. So keep it unchecked so that anybody, even if they're not part of Twitter, can read your messages. And also do not check add a location to my tweet, because you might be tweeting from your home the latest news that you got from Google Alert. You don't want to have a location added to your home on Twitter or wherever you are. So make sure that add location is unchecked, and protect my tweets. Tweet media, I think all of these can be just unchecked because you don't have sensitive content. You want everything to be open to the public. Personalization, tailor Twitter based on my recent website visits. You can check or uncheck it. This is something new. I haven't explored this, so I can't really comment on that. And account security require verification code when I sign in. You don't want to check that because every single time you need to be verified. And oftentimes the verification is when you need somebody's cell phone. So if you have your personal cell phone connected to a neighborhood council social media site, then you won't be able to connect your personal cell phone to your personal social media site. And you want to keep your personal separate from the board. So that's why having separate email addresses is also good if you have your board email address versus your personal. Yes?
One thing about the Twitter locations, there are some websites where you can search tweets on a map, and it's really interesting to see what people are saying in your neighborhood, particularly the 14-year-olds. Others who have checked that box, and it gives you a very interesting sort of flavor on a Friday night about what's going on.
Interesting. 94% of internet users between the age of 18 and 64 read emails. So it is very, very important, and probably this data is about a year old, so it's probably even more than that by now. Everybody is online. So you don't want to exclude, regardless of what neighborhood, what city, what state you're in, what your demographics are, people are going to be on email. Even if they go to the library, they will check the email. 61% use social networking sites, so you definitely want to be on Facebook and Twitter. And 147 million people across the country use email. Most use it every day. So keep that in mind. Pardon me?
What year is that?
This was in 2010, so it's a 3-year-old data. So it definitely has changed. Now, your dialogue also is part of social the email marketing campaigns. Vertical response, if you're a nonprofit, vertical response is free for a nonprofit. MailChimp is similar to Constant Contact. These two both charge a little bit, starting at about $20, I believe, a month is where it starts. But MailChimp, if you have under 2,000 contacts, it's free. So use MailChimp if you have under 2,000 contacts. EmpowerLA has almost 15,000 contacts, so we're definitely using Constant Contact. You have to pay for that. Again, with the email campaign, you can see that the brand is the same. Make sure that your email campaign has on the top marked, it's called view, it's the web version. Because you want people to be able to not just view your email if it doesn't appear in their mailbox. Let's say they have their email set up to not show images. But also because if it has this link, people can link on their social media, and people can, because it has its own URL, and people can also archive your emails into their website. So you want to make sure that your website has a separate link, and it only can have a separate link if you have a click here link in your email. Yes?
And it makes it really easy for other people to share your information.
Yes, absolutely. So you can share it. Now you can also make sure that you have this, the social media icon set up in your email, because again, you want to share it. You want people to click on it and share it on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and everywhere. Make sure you have this on the sidebar, left or right, however your email is set up. Because you want people to forward the email, you want people to join your email list whose the email has been forwarded to, and you want people to join your social media. If you don't forward your email with this button, if you receive an email with this from anybody and you do not forward but you click your forward in your inbox, the footer of the email, and I don't have a screenshot here, but the footer of your email will have your email address attached to it. So somebody might get in your email forward every week. And that person thinks, oh, I'm getting these emails. I want to unsubscribe from Tom. They're unsubscribing Tom's email because that's the footer that is attached to the footer email is attached. So make sure that if you're forwarding us any email campaign with the email forward button, that you highlight, once you click forward in the new email, highlight the bottom, which is unsubscribe, and your email address, highlight it, delete it, and then you can forward it. Because you don't want people to unsubscribe your email address from your email campaign. Email campaigns, you can also track, you can find out what links are more popular over other links. It can give you an idea of what people really are interested in without having to do a poll every single 3 months, and people might not respond to polls. But this is kind of your own little poll. The more you keep track of your hits, can you see, have I been standing the whole time in front of you? The more you track your hits, your statistics, the more that's like your little personal poll. That way you know what is important in your neighborhood. And then you can see your social shares. Are people sharing your newsletter? And we have, interestingly, we have a lot of LinkedIn shares, which also gives us an idea of maybe more people in a 40s to 60s age group are using or reading our newsletter more than the Twitter crowd, because that's the younger crowd who is using Twitter and Facebook. So it gives you an idea of your demographics. With Constant Contact, as well as with the other social media sites, find out how you can get more contacts. You can customize a sign-up form that you can put on Facebook, that you can put on your website. You can have a text message with EmpowerLA. You can have your own text, and then the number is always 22828. So with EmpowerLA, if you text with your phone EmpowerLA to the number 22828, it will prompt you to give me your email address. You type in your email address and you sign into the newsletter. So this is kind of a fun way, this and the QR code to your newsletter, it's a fun way to get maybe the younger audience involved in your neighborhood council. If you're tabling an event, they can just scan you. They might not want to talk to you because young people don't want to talk, especially if you're standing behind the table. It's like, oh no, they're with a cell phone, but they can quick scan and then move on, and they can check out your website or sign up to your newsletter. So keep in mind These are interesting for the shy people. Those who don't want to make eye contact. With constant contact, are there many people here who are in constant contact? Okay, so there's fairly few here. Okay, you know, if you're, you have to pay for uploading photos on constant contact. You have to have an extra, but you want to make sure that your newsletters are full with photos and images, because if they're not, it's too much text and people don't respond to that. In MailChimp, the photos are free. You can upload as many as you want. But in Constant Contact, I discovered that you can actually not add anything in your library, but if you have a website, upload into your media whatever document it is or image that is, and then here from your website, copy the link of your uploaded document and add it to the image URL. And you still have a bunch of images. You can have as many as you want on your Constant Contact, because you're hosting it, you're not having Constant Contact to host your images. So that's a little tip. If you don't want to pay the extra, I think it's $5 a month, but it adds up if you have a limited number of funds. Yes?
So do you have specific reasons why you seem to be, you keep going to Constant Contact? Why would you use Constant Contact if you have a limited budget versus MailChimp or Vertical Response or some email program?
Well,
like
there
that?
is pros and cons. I like Constant Contact because it has the QR code. It has the text too, where people can text to sign up to the newsletter. Constant Contact seems to have a live person. I can talk to a live person 24/7 because you're paying for it. In MailChimp, and then in Constant Contact, you can set up many lists and send to all the lists at once without sending to those people duplicates. So if you're in 5-6 lists, you're, for the transportation committee, you're in the full neighborhood board list, you can send to everybody without receiving twice. In MailChimp, you can only send to one list at a time. So you cannot send the transportation committee, people who signed up to the newsletter, or people who sign up to the full board. You won't be able to send the email to everybody, to all your members. You have to create an email for each separate list. And it's no big deal because you can copy and replicate, but it's still much easier with, I think with Empire Lane we have 200 lists. So it will be like, because we have the voters, we have the candidates, we have the different regions, the city council people only, just the neighborhood council individually. So, and we have 95 neighborhood councils, so it's a lot of contacts and a lot of lists that we really want to keep separate. So that's why I'm choosing one over the other.
I think Vertical Response does have the list.
Vertical Response has the list. It's a little bit clunky, and I have not used Vertical Response probably in a couple of years, and I know they have updated their platform, and they're really trying to go with the new flow, but so I can't comment on it, but I know that it's, if you're a nonprofit, you can use MailChimp or Vertical Response. But it was kind of clunky in the old days when I tried to use it. You can use it, but it's... and then also, if you're sending out newsletters, let's say you're creating the newsletter, send it to your personal email address. If it's, let's say you have a personal Gmail, and then I have a Gmail, an AOL, an Earthlink. I send it to those to check what it looks like on that test, the test on that platform, because sometimes it looks different, and you might want to fix things. And I always check on my iPhone, what does it look like? Does it look good? So it's a lot of work, but it pays off. And you might only want to do that at the beginning, the first couple months, and then afterwards you don't need to, because you know what it looks like and how you need to fix things. Spectacle, YouTube, videos, Slideshare, those are your spectacles. Even if people cannot come to your meetings, you want to make sure that you have it up as a video. Even if you have one person, we have, for example, by the way, YouTube, you can also check who is watching, moderate comments, how many people are viewing your video. Slideshare, one thing about Slideshare that I really, really like is that it transcribes all your deck for the blind. So, which looks like this. This is a slide, the Reform Initiative. This is the Slideshare, the slide, and it just transcribes everything. So the blind read, also this is one reason why you want to, another reason why you want to title every image of yours. If you have images on your website, the blind will read everything. And if it's an image that is not titled, they go through a .jpeg. But you want to make sure that your image is titled for the blind as well. Images, documents, everything. Because then they want to click on it or not, if it's a document. Slideshare, you can also see who viewed, who downloaded it. It's free. You're limited in terms of statistics that you can view on Slideshare, but it's free, so it's an extra way to back up your documents. People can view it even if they're not on any social media sites. They don't have to download the document. They can view it. It's a little window that you can insert into your website. They can just click on the expand window like with YouTube to enlarge it, and your entire document is enlarged on the, so you can, for example, you can use Slideshare for your board presentations. Have a little projector and have your agenda in a Slideshare and have it pop up, or just have the PDF on there, it doesn't matter. But it's a great little tool because it does transcribe all your documents. Ustream, we're Ustreaming this event tonight or today, and even if you don't have the most followers, we have a press who goes and listens to our Ustream. So that's what you want. Even if it's 2 people who read it, if it's press and another chatty person, then you're covered because they will write about you, they will talk about you. The quality is oftentimes not the best because Ustream depends on the Wi-Fi connection in the room where you're holding the meeting, but it archives your videos. And oftentimes when I'm watching a meeting video, I don't need to watch it, I just want to hear it. So it can play in the background without you having to have an audio recorded. Audios are huge, huge files. Then download it to your computer, then upload it to some audio, bizarre, whatever, networking. So it's much easier to just Ustream it. It's live, people can hear it live if they want to while they're doing whatever work they want, and press can immediately write about it without having to be driving across town to be at your meeting. And then Ustream, you can also edit the titles. If they don't edit the title, it will show you the Ustream channel name, recorded live on blah, blah, blah. But you can see who can watch it, you can lock it, but you never want to lock any video. You want everything open to the public. And then tip for your spectacle, title all your videos and documents before you upload them, because if you don't have them titled with Slideshare, for example, you get a URL, a custom URL according to what your document is. So if it's not titled as you upload it, you will get a really bad custom link, and you want to make sure you control the message with the document. So title videos and documents. Also, when you upload videos to YouTube, you don't have to type it in extra, especially because it already is already titled it. But you always want to tag, add the relevant tags to all your documents and videos, whatever the city name, neighborhood council, the subject matter, whatever is important, relevant to that document or to the videos. You want to add them to categories, be it politics, activism, whatever it is. You can do that in Slideshare as well as in YouTube. You want to make sure that with that, you're narrowing down, or you're making sure you target the right people if you're tagging them and if you put them in the right category. Always monitor comments. Connect every account that you can to social media. Slideshare, you can connect to Facebook and Twitter. Every time you upload something on Slideshare, it again goes automatically to Twitter. Most of your stuff you can connect to Twitter automatically. So that's the beauty about Twitter. It just shoots out the message as soon as you upload anything. And then in your YouTube channel, you can set automatic captions by speech recognition. Again, that's helpful for the this one for the hard of hearing people, so that it will caption it for them. If you have somebody in your neighborhood who loves to transcribe, ask them to volunteer for your organization, because transcribing is a lot of work, but it really pays off. And then with YouTube, you can upload longer than 15 minutes now, but you need to be able to verify your account, which means you click on Learn More, and it will ask you to verify your account. You have to type in an email, a cell phone number. Here, if you type in a cell phone, it won't connect it to YouTube. It's okay to connect your own cell phone. It will send you a verification code that you type in YouTube. It's a 6-letter code, and it will open your account so that you can stream more than 15 minutes. So anything, an hour or 2-hour long videos of meetings, you can stream there. Especially about town halls, these are great to put up on YouTube or in Ustream, the town halls. And then the course is this kind of repeating, interlink as much as you can from your website, all your social media sites, link your email newsletters, like everybody in your neighborhood. Let people discuss, talk about your neighborhood, comment. Even if it's just one person, you know, he might be a chatty person who has other followers who are interested in what they're talking about. Same with Twitter, retweet. If you have a personal account and your neighborhood council is talking about something on their Twitter page, you as a person retweet it because you want your followers to follow. It's oftentimes the board members who do all their work, but it's once you, with the social media, you have to, you pitch in to the neighborhood council, but your followers and your friends will actually know what you're up to, and they might be interested, and you can pull them in and be part of the neighborhood council and get the good word out about helping your neighborhood. Check always your statistics, who is sharing in Constant Contact MailChimp. You can also check who are the people who are forwarding your email or sharing your email. So make friends with them. It might be press, it might be just somebody who is really hard at work as a volunteer. You can recognize them. And then same with your videos, track your videos, who is watching and who is commenting. So back to the Starfish campaign, the website is your hub. You have to have a website, and then across all the media, it's always interlinking, outside, inside, and then all connects kind of also where your other social medias are interconnected, and then everything goes back to the website. And I think that's it, and we have a little bit of time for Q&A. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get Steven in, because he might want to wrap up. And just a minute.
Hey, I'm going to pass out evaluations now, so as you guys are asking questions, you can also filling out your evaluation.
Sorry, I was in the show
Yeah.
out there. So apparently it's delayed ahead. Here you go.
Yeah.
You're streaming this?
Yeah. So we were Ustreaming, which meant that I could watch it in the city, and I could watch Mommy. We were in the hallway. Then he changed the channel and we watched. So, okay.
Here, I'm going back to
Are you going back?
this one.
So, this is the Starfish that Nancy was talking about with regards to digital media. And as you recall, the essential elements of a great story have what? A plot? And there aren't many plots. Man versus man, man versus society, man versus nature, man versus himself. You know, these are the basic plots, and all of the stories can be boiled down to some very simple plots. When it comes to your community, everyone's doing what they do because of some thing that brought you to this moment of, I got to stand up and do something about something. So that's the plot in your community. And you need to be able to say that, whatever that thing is, very clearly right up front, and then set it with a theme on your website. So, very simply, the city of LA was in the middle of charter reform. 3 neighborhoods wanted to secede from the city. The harbor wanted to break away, the valley wanted to break away, and Hollywood wanted to break away. The city was literally facing, it was going to be fractured if these 3 neighborhoods were successful. It was on the ballot. The people were going to be voting on whether or not to secede from the city. Millions of people, literally millions of people, 1.3 million people in the valley alone. Hollywood wanted to split, leave. And folks around the world know Hollywood. I mean, it's kind of a well-known place. And Hollywood wanted to to leave. And then the harbor, and literally 70% of what comes into America comes through the port. So Barbie dolls in Topeka, Kansas are coming through our neighborhood, and the folks that controlled that area wanted to leave. So it was kind of a big deal, and one of the big issues is people they felt like they didn't have a voice in their government. And that was the obstacle that was overcome by the creation of the neighborhood councils, was to create a voice. And so that's the plot, quite simply, that had to be given a place in the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. And so that message has to resonate in everything we do. They say in great stories that everything you say and everything you do does one of two things, or it's just completely noise. It's waste of time. So it either advances the plot or it reveals character. So in everything you do, it's either accomplishing the goal that you're after, or it's telling the world something about you and making you a little more sticky. And by sticky, I mean you watch movies because you care about what happens to the characters. If you don't like the character, you care what happens because you want it to come out a certain way. If you like them, you care what happens because you want it to come out a certain way. So you end up rooting for them. And for you to be well connected in your community, you need people to root for you. And so it needs to be clear who you are and what you're after. So that's the plot and the theme. And then, are you telling some great stories so that the people that around you are coming to life? Are there faces on your organization? So are you creating great characters? And you don't really need to create them, they exist. You just need to help them tell their stories. And sometimes it's telling their stories for them. So we do local heroes. I mean, everybody at some point in time is a super volunteer. Whether it's rescuing the dog, or helping someone with an umbrella when it rained the other day, or the lost and found, to, people that take a year off and go to another country and save the world. At some point in time, people are engaged and doing great stuff. And these are the stories that you never really hear about. Perhaps that's a way for us to put faces on the stories in our neighborhood and create these great characters that people care about. And dialogue. Is there a way for you to tell your story with memorable dialogue? So your neighborhood may not be finger-licking good, but is there something about your neighborhood and your story and your plot? Is there some language that you can capture with repetition so it starts to then ring a bell every time people hear that phrase? So in Gracie's message, every week, to thousands of people, there's some memorable text in there that people associate that with Gracie's dialogue or message. So when Gracie speaks in neighborhoods, it's the same message that's being repeated. It might be a salutation, it might be a greeting, it might just be a call to action. So in our neighborhood, in our city, it's quite literally giving people a voice, engaging them in the process, and to support them as they monitor the delivery of city services. I mean, it's 4 million people wanting to know where's their stuff. And so that's our mission, to connect them. John McKnight has turned us from advocates into producers. This morning, that was the call to action. So is that a phrase that we could be using? I mean, are we the ones that produce leaders? Are we the ones that produce change? So even there, that's an opportunity for you to claim some language, some dialogue, and in your chatter, whether it's in your newsletter, in your Twitter account, however you communicate, are you creating some memorable dialogue? Keep in mind that there are only so many letters, there are only so many words, and you'll hear a lot of the same things over and over. But is there some way for you to claim some dialogue so that you're forever associated with Empowerment Hours? And so we want to keep repeating some keywords so that people start to associate that with what we do and who we are, and what we're about, and why we should be partners. So we've mentioned dialogue. We've met a spectacle. In spectacle, there's many, what color shirts are the volunteers wearing here? Blue. Oh my gosh, it's a color. So you can create spectacle in any of a number of ways, and including, in fact, by the way, I just read that Minneapolis has the second highest rate of theater seats per capita. It's almost the theater capital of the United States of America. So, and in theater, sometimes it's the absence of spectacle that's spectacle. Sometimes simplicity is spectacle, and sometimes it's It's huge special effects in theater. But whatever it is, it should be a choice you make. Are you the lean, clean community organization that doesn't have much, but what you have, you do well with it? Sometimes just showing up wearing blue is all it takes to create spectacle. Sometimes it's going to be a lot of show, and that might mean that you want to do videos with low production or high production values. But can you create some spectacle? And so in the digital arena, there's lots of opportunities for you to create some spectacle. There's a postcard app, so you can not just take a photo, you can turn it into a postcard and you can send it. Hey, having a great time empowering your neighborhood. And that's the kind of thing that people will say, spectacle gets their attention, and then causes them to say, hey, did you see this? And you want folks to say, hey, did you see this? Because being isn't as great as being, and then having someone else say, hey, look at them be. So sometimes we create websites and we create activity, and it's our own little network that's paying attention. They said if you're looking for a job, don't tell your friends, because they know the same jobs you know. They're not going to tell you anything new. Total strangers stand a better chance of getting you a job because it's a different network. Which brings us to chorus, and whether it's the three people standing on the back of the stage echoing what our hero is thinking, or whether it's the colonel signing up hundreds and thousands of franchisees who actually cooked the chicken and sold the chicken and spread his good story, or it's you connecting with the Kiwanis Club and the Lions Club and the Rotary Club and the PTA and the Neighborhood Watch and the Homeowners Association and all of the other organizations and creating that network, that's then the chorus. Because if I retweet your tweets, you're more likely to retweet mine. If I say something nice about you, you're more likely to say something nice about me. So if in saying, and by the way, you've heard if you can't say something nice and don't say anything at all, you can find some way to say something nice, even if you just repeat what they said. And that was painless. Just retweet it. Or bump it and pass it on. And so do y'all get, get emails where people send you, you've got to see this? This is where it's important to stay true to your theme. Because if your theme is community leader, if your theme is producer of community leaders, if your theme is to produce change in a quality environment and a healthy environment and with a commitment to public safety, then you don't want to be retweeting inappropriate messaging. In other words, stay true to your theme. So bad jokes aren't a good idea. Maybe the cat videos aren't a good idea for your neighborhood council's spectacle and commitment to creating some viral activity. So all of this is to say those are the big elements of a story. And then there are lots of articulations or iterations, if you will, of these particular elements. But these are just tools, and they'll change. And they'll be replaced by new tools. But I hope you picked up a few tips on some of the tools from your website, your email campaigns, some social media, and a few opportunities to leave some footprints out there in the digital arena. So without any further ado, you want to do some questions, Maya, or how are we doing?
No, we can do questions. We
Okay.
have about 10 minutes.
We have 10 minutes. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So we talked about, you mentioned 80% of your time should be posting about other people other than yourself. I'm wondering how focused you are with that. So if you start talking about Silver Lake and the Valley, and if you really are talking about a wide range of things, does your audience kind of lose appreciation for that?
Well, the wider you go,
pretty focused.
the wider you go, obviously, the greater the chance to, you're not the LA Times or the New York Times, and you're not going to cover everything, the world, local, and so I would suggest that you stay true to your theme and to your region. Now, it doesn't have to be geographic. For example, Maya, here it is. I stole Maya's book. I just noticed that Minneapolis is number 2, not just in theater seats, but in it's a number 2 biking city, and Eugene, Oregon is the number 1 biking city. But NC and I actually got involved in the civic engagement arena as bike activists. And so that's not a geographic, that's an interest, or it's a mode. I don't know what it is. It's many things, but it's certainly not the regions of a homeowners association. But it's what drew us into the arena, and then it connected us with obstacles to overcome. And so we spoke, everything we talked about was about see you on the streets was our tag. See you on the streets, right? And it was about the streets. We did go wide on this because if it had to do with New York City just was, had a critical mass thing. So Eugene, Oregon just did a, new policy. We would chirp those in, but the 80-20 is more about don't always be telling me what you had for breakfast, right? Even something so simple as, we went to Nye's the other night. My goodness, 60 years old. Not the cabbage rolls, but the restaurant. Cabbage rolls, I understand, are fresh. But we talked about Nye's rather than about what we had for dinner. So we're still keeping it current. So the 80-20 is, you only get 20% of the, if you have an agenda to post, a meeting to host, and I'm going here and need you to back me up in the call to action, you can't do call to action every day. You've got to put some trivia in there. This book is filled with trivia, right? And it just makes Minneapolis that much more interesting to me. So it's kind of, hey, look at me, but it's, did you know? I didn't know. I had no idea, but now I know. So they're talking about cyclists, and that resonates with me because it doesn't sound like they're talking about Minnie. Is that what we call Minneapolis? What do we call Minneapolis for short? We don't. So there's no for short, huh?
But also, I think that also encourages reciprocal sharing. So
Yes.
if you're sharing other people's things because they're part of your community,
Yes.
and then they get wind that you're sharing their things. When I post, I often will say, I let them know that X group, that Long Beach Heritage is having a function. I don't just put Long Beach Heritage, if I'm posting on Facebook, I make sure that there's a link to Long Beach Heritage. Then they see that we're sharing their post.
Right.
Then hopefully they're more apt to share our post when
Yeah.
we have an event as well.
Are you from Long Beach?
Yeah.
We should ride back together. If only I'd known. So Charlie Gandy was a good friend. Cycling advocate from Long Beach. So on that note, for example, Free Shakespeare is a popular organization, and they have a pretty strong social media campaign. And they're in Griffith Park, which is, I think, the largest urban wilderness park in the United States of America. Hey, bit of trivia. You can drop that in there. And so, come join us in the park, they say. And by the way, grab a picnic lunch. Our favorite restaurant in Atwater Village are our neighbors. And then the next person to tweet, I know is sitting right next to the person that just tweeted, because I know who they are, says, oh my gosh, yes, my favorite is the... And did you know Hell's Kitchen has a sausage bread? Have you been to Hell's Kitchen over on 9th? They have a sausage bread. I mean, that's the kind of little bits and pieces that make that restaurant great. Avoid things like a great place for dinner, a great place for lunch, a great. Just tell me something. It's the only restaurant I know of that has sausage. So the 80-20 doesn't mean out of an 8-hour day you're going to spend hours telling me what he had for breakfast. But just that you'll include other stuff in there so it's not so dry. The city website will typically have a roster of bureaucratic documents and meetings. And you want to avoid being that. You want to be 80% fun stuff that advances the subject and keep it true. So NC set Silver Lake as a Google search. And we get a lot of weird stuff because there's more than one Silver Lake. How disturbing to find out there's more than one Stephen Box. And there are many. And they turn up all the time. And, so you're going to find a lot that you need to filter through. And really filter through and think about who your audience is. But keep in mind, they shouldn't all be you. Because the people that are you are already in. And you're looking to connect with other networks and let them... When we hosted the neighbor council elections, we posted the results, right away. And we got the feedback on who was retweeting. And I was so tickled because some of the noisiest people in town were retweeting. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so... But that relationship didn't start that night. And that's why the 80-20 is really just kind of an investment in your connectivity account, if you will. And so it's not a hard... So it wasn't meant to create work as much as just to help you be a little stickier and more robust. We're all here because we're involved in... How one-dimensional is that? We're such... robust characters. So, you own a horse? Play the banjo? Oh my gosh! Now we're finding ways to connect with each other, because I had no idea. You play the, you know what I mean? So are there banjo players in the room? There you go, right there. Another connection.
And I have a horse.
And a horse, oh my gosh! Did you ever live in Los Angeles? It just won't stop.
Where's money?
So you're looking for those kinds of not too wacky, or else you've just lost your theme and you've lost your plot. So don't take me too far off because you'll lose me. But it's okay to reveal a little character. Did you ever watch Tin Man, the movie? You remember when they had breakfast every day? There was this one guy, all he talked about was Bonanza. It had nothing to do with the plot of the movie. But it sure showed that some of the characters that Richard Dreyfuss was surrounded by were so one-dimensional. He was like a fish surrounded by... It was how hard is it to get this guy's attention? All he talked about was Bonanza. But that was character revealing. So a lot of your 80-20 just shows what you're interested in. If you always give me police blotter, it's like, oh my gosh, how doom and gloom. It's like, everything that happens is bad. So give me something way happy, way interesting, way funny. Keep it, don't go crazy with way funny and get too absurd. But some interesting historical trivia about the neighborhood, and that's going to robustify, if you will, your character, and it's going to allow you to connect with others. Sorry for the longest answer to the shortest question ever in this conference. Yes, and then back there.
NUSA shows some tracking data. How do you obtain that tracking data?
On the website? Mm-hmm. So there's a few things that you can install. Your website probably comes with some, and there's some more you can install. And in fact, afterwards, Nancy could, not on this computer, but on hers, she could take you and show you how to set some up. But it's good to know what people are reacting to. We did 4 local hero stories in the same newsletter. And in the constant contact, you get data on what they're clicking on. And what we discovered is they don't click headshots. They just don't care. I mean, a headshot's a headshot. Everyone has a headshot in LA. And the person that does headshots has an agent, and that's LA. So you see, no one clicks on headshots, but there was our new pedestrian coordinator was, with her bicycle on the street in downtown Los Angeles, a typically busy street, and here's a woman with a bicycle. And everyone they wanted to know what's a person with a bicycle doing downtown? And so that was the one I don't know what they were thinking, but that's the one they clicked. So you can see what they like. You can also see what documents they're... We sometimes think, oh my gosh, this is on policy. The neighborhood councils are going to want to know about this. 2 clicks. And then something else, it was plastic bags the whole time. So you get instant data on what they click. You also know when you do bad headlines. You'll know, did you talk about headlines?
No.
7 words, in your subject line. Too many, they don't see them, not enough. It's like, newsletter. Are you going to click that? Or so there's some great words. I mean, free always gets you. Yes, ma'am in the back.
So using photos off the web or your website or constant contact, are you asking for permission from the owner, emailing the website? I mean, how do you do it?
Generally, the rule is that you give them credit. You can ask them if you know who it belongs to, but you can always give them credit, and you can ask them for permission and saying, of course, we'll link back to you. And but in general, if it's a public event, it's a free-for-all. If it's clip art or from a local newspaper like LA Times, they're very angry if you put their photos onto your website, so we're not even bothering them. Because they're professional photographers, they're very... So if it's a local person, or you have a youth group that somebody likes to take photos, ask them. It's better if it's your own photos. We oftentimes travel with cameras and just take our own photos because we know might be difficult to find a good one. A nice one, a good one, even from a local, from local people who take pictures. But if it's in an event, usually we just grab whatever it is and then link back to the website where we found it and give credit if we know who it belongs to. We don't ask permission.
So speaking of professional photographers,
Yeah.
over here. Let me get your phone. Everyone look over here. I'm going to make famous. Or as close as I can. So, and also NC mentioned LA Times and Daily News, the two big newspapers we deal with. And if you even touch vowels that they think they own, you know, they'll send you a letter saying, oh my gosh, don't ever use E again. So on the other hand, there are lots of local journalists that want the help. And so, for example, Patch. Y'all have Patch? So the Patch, we have several Patches in our neighborhoods, and they love to be connected. And then we have a lot of the one-offs. And so your Long Beach, is it Telegram?
Long Beach Press Telegram.
Press Telegram. So that's part of a network of small regionals. But then there's the regionals that are just, you know, one person. We have many of those. And so for...
Usually, with that said, we have like the locals, like the East Sider. It's a local online newspaper. They're trying to sell ads. If I'm linking to a news and Patch has the news, I link to the local first. Because Patch is from AUL. So they're a huge corporation, even though they're posting and it's individuals from the neighborhood who are posting, but I'd rather work with a local organization.
And if you're linking to a local newspaper, you have a better chance of having a relationship with them anyway,
Exactly.
so you can always ask them.
So on that note, and then we got to go, we have one more question. On that note, we didn't talk about press releases, but with press releases, one way to, let me back up. You don't have to be all things, right? But you just need to make sure that someone within your organization likes to do one of these things. You may want to direct, someone else may want to produce, someone else may want to be the set decorator. In other words, there's always a team going to work on this particular scenario, however you're articulating, whether it's on stage, whether it's the digital arena, whether it's in the community. You don't have to be all things. And one thing you can do is you can equip your partner journalists, if you will, with an email forwarding that goes to all of your local journalists. So just set up the account, because you know who they are, because you've been around, right? So you've got the Long Beach Press Telegram, and you've got the LA Times, whoever's got the beat this week, and you've got the Patch, and you've got the local Penny Saver, and you've got whatever the locals are. Put them all into a forwarding email that just says, what's the name of your organization? Carlsbad. Hey, we're kinfolk. All right. So just say Carlsbad at your website, Carlsbad Media at your website, and so that your partner journalists could then just send press releases without having to develop all these relationships. So you're creating a network they can use. That was it. So we set up some forwarding emails so that people don't need to know everybody to connect with them. And it forwards to the regionals, it forwards to the commission, it forwards to the city hall, it forwards to journalists. And that's one more way to help folks connect and make it easy for them to be noisy and useful. Yes, sir. Last question. A lot of pressure here. Last question.
Upworthy is a great site to look for headline examples. They make art out of creative.
Who's this?
Upworthy.
Upworthy.
Yeah, they make money by basically looking for cool stuff on the web, creating a much better title for it, and then sharing it. It has a progressive bent to it, but they may test different headlines. In different
that's
ways
interesting.
in the advanced way.
Excellent. All right, folks. Well, thanks very much. You had a question about the back end, the tracking, which we'll do afterwards. If you have any questions afterwards, we'll be happy to chat with you. And thank you very much.